1. Hey, we're here. We've got Ben Johnson, head coach of the Rock Ridge Wolverines. And Benny, we just wanted to make sure that Hook and I were going to do some interviews, and we've done a really extensive job of kind of previewing some of the Section 7 single A stuff. And we did a little show on our Cupid's Classic, which was your Valentine's Day game here that you played against the Hibbing Blue Jackets. And then just a little bit of controversy, I guess, so to speak, last week. We'll maybe touch base a little bit on that with some of the seeding stuff and talk a little bit about your season and into playoffs, preview a little bit. So I'm glad to have Ben Johnson here, head coach. Benny, talk a little bit about just, this is year number 2 in the program, right?
Yeah.
Taking over a combined program that's got 2 storied programs in it with some combinations of a couple other ones, but being able to take over Virginia and Evelyn Gilbert, Mesabi East and Mountain Iron and all the different co-ops that go into this. This is a big co-op and a big job. And how, just quickly, how has it been the last 2 seasons of putting this baby together?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of moving parts. When you got that much going on with the high school hockey program, the Virginia high school hockey program, and then your Mountain Iron kids involved, and it's the second year's been a lot smoother, that's for sure. The first year was interesting. The year before, Evelyn graduated 18 seniors, so it did make it Virginia heavy, and people were upset that there's no Evelyn kids on the team or something like that, but the fact is there wasn't many. They all graduated. But now it's coming to a point where it's going to be pretty mixed, and it's going to be a tough program to make just because there's so much competition now. And you got kids from Mesabi East. We got 1 kid from Cherry. But yeah, it's mostly Virginia, Evelyn, Mesabi East. And just practices, just getting these kids to a practice. You could have a kid a half an hour away, 45 minutes away. So that element's different compared to where you're at a school where everyone's already there and you can just go to practice. So there's a lot of elements there with the hip and the new arena and all that stuff finally kind of smoothing out, but it is what it is.
Well, a couple of pretty awesome communities, and I can say that with confidence that I was very blessed to be able to be in half of your position for 7 years of my life, to being the head coach of Virginia for a bunch of years. And I still love that program with the bottom of my heart. And it was always a talk for years that there's the possibility of these 2 programs combining, and it never serious talks came into conversation when I was there, but it was always going to go, that's going to be interesting when that happens. I was always really interested in the Evelyn program. So I think this is, just for lack of a better way of saying it, just an awesome marriage of 2 programs that's going to create success on the Iron Range and area hockey for a long time. I'm sure you agree.
Yeah, absolutely. I think once everybody gets past the Blue Devils and Golden Bears, I know it's tough to. I mean, at first I was like, wow, that's a lot of communities getting, non-existent anymore. We're back when we played, there was still, Silver Bay, 2 Harbors, Hoyt Lakes, Ely, all those little teams, and it was neat back then. Now it's just kind of getting to the point where a lot of these small towns are hanging on just with numbers.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. That part of it's unfortunate. As soon as the communities, and I'm sure it's getting better as each year goes on, but as soon as the communities can and try to get past we want our identity versus we have a new identity. Let's try to bring in the new identity. And I think the Rock Ridge School District has done, just from the outside looking in, done a phenomenal job of putting the Wolverine absolutely everywhere. I've seen some pictures of the new school. I've seen, obviously, been in your rink. I've seen pictures of the new gymnasium over at the new school, and the basketball programs hosting their first games there last week. And everywhere you look, you see the Wolverine. So it's very apparent that identity is coming to fruition.
Get your ODR swag today at Iron Range Apparel.
Oh, for sure. Now that the school's pretty much completed, if you get a chance to go on a tour, it is amazing. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know they were building this up here.
I look forward to that. The one that
Yeah.
you guys as coaches, I'm sure look forward to is the idea of using some of that strength and conditioning facility. That weight room looks phenomenal.
Yeah, it's nicer than most colleges, and just the gym and the pool and the football field, baseball field. And then not only that, you get the backdrop of Evelyn, Virginia in the back with the water towers and the trees, and it's just a beautiful spot. And I think once you go up to the school and you see what they've been doing, it's a pretty neat place.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's a big part of it. I'm just really excited to see, where the program has gone here the last couple of years. Like you said, there was a challenge last year. The challenges were a little bit less this year and continue to be getting better. And I saw that we've had a number of conversations throughout our show with Ms McGill here, with Puka and I talking about the program and, the frustrations I'm sure with community members about, well, they need to be doing this, they need to be winning, they need to do that or this or that. And I always said this from the day that last season started, that people in those two communities need to be patient because the right guy is in the position to be able to bring this together. You have the right staff with your assistant coaches. You're doing things the right way with youth hockey, and things are moving in the right direction, and patience is a key. And you could see that moving into the way your season started. Things started off a little slower, but they started to build and get better as the season went on. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, you don't get to see those players come up through the ranks really, just because they were on the Evelyn side or the Virginia side or Masabi. So you might have seen them play once or twice, but never together. So chemistry is always with each player, coming into a new season again. Especially last year when everything's fresh and you kind of seen a guy or two, but you don't know how they play. You don't know their tendencies and stuff. And, that takes a bit. And then you just got to kind of give everybody a chance to prove themselves. And, starting the year, we play everybody, give them an opportunity to make it. And, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But, even to today, we're pretty much playing four lines, where, they got to be able to compete in a big time moment, and hopefully that'll pay off for us down the road here. But yeah, there's a lot of moving parts when you combine all these kids you haven't really had your hands on. We're a program where you've seen your Pee Wee team for a couple of years, you've seen your Bantam team, you kind of know what you have. Yeah, that part was interesting, going into the combination for sure.
Head to the Ring Sports Bar for breakfast, lunch, and dinner in Evelyn.
Yeah, no question about it. And you've got, a good combination of assistant coaches there. Talk about some of the guys that you got working with you.
Yeah, Ryan, I call him Cobby, but it's just to give him a figure. But yeah, no, Kobe's he's great. Attention to detail stuff is nice. There's not a lot of sugarcoating on our team. Like, we're gonna let you know if you're not playing well, and it's nice to have that too as an assistant coach to get on these guys. And with Evan being a teacher and excellent person, he kind of takes care of a lot of stuff. And then you got Casey Myrie, who's in kind of the goaltending part of it, and he works well with Derek and at Iron Range Goalie Academy. So we got all the right areas, kind of covered. And then of course we got Matt Niskanen on board, which he comes when he can, and that's been a huge help, just because when he steps on the ice, you're going to listen to him, and the kids like it. It's just another energy in the locker room at the rink when you got a guy like that coming to the rink, and he's getting excited too. And it's nice to see him come to the rink, just because I don't know what I'd do if I was retired from hockey. I don't think I could stay away from the rink either. So it's nice to see him. Yeah, so I'm just happy he's back, and he's all those little things that those pro guys can teach somebody is a big deal. And just those small areas of the game where you can tweak and he can see. And but yeah, we all work well together. We're all good friends. Yeah, we hold everybody accountable. So it's fun, but it's business too.
Yeah, no question. It's talking about Matt Niskanen in there a little bit. And of course, Coach Colby. I had both Coach Colby and Coach Friedlieb on my staff too when I was there in Virginia. And Myrie came in and helped with summer hockey stuff as well too, and was a great asset. But cool with Matt Niskanen, he came in every summer and did stuff with our summer hockey camp, and he'd spend at least one day there working with kids. And like you said it, he picks up on things that we don't see, just because he's got that high level of watching the game, watches so much film that these guys watch all the time. as NHL players that he's picking up on stuff, as especially being on the defensive side of the bench, where, me being a forward guy, I always would take more help from defensive guys. So Matt Niskanen always brings another element to it. I just think it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So last week, we started playoffs. So things got better as we got going through the season, and we started playoffs, and you were able to, I should say earlier this week, you were able to face off against the International Falls Broncos to take care of the first round of the playoffs. Talk a little bit about that game. It was a drubbing, but they had to come down to the Iron Trail Motors Arena and face you guys. How did that game go for you guys?
It's a playoff game and anything can happen. So I think the nerves set in with you just don't know. Like, you don't know, anybody can win now. And if you look past the team, they can get you. And we knew that we can't look past them. They were on a hot streak. I'm not sure how many wins they had, but they might 7-8 wins in a row or something crazy. So we knew that they weren't going to lay down for us. But the first 4 minutes, they took it to us. I was not happy for the first 5 minutes, but then once it was kind of like get the nerves out. It was a good crowd again, but there's still young kids, and you don't know how those nerves set in, whether you're playing International Falls or Hibbing or Hermantown. It's something you just can't control as a coach of how they're feeling when they hit the ice and thinking wise and all that. So first 4 minutes, they established a nice forecheck, and then finally, once our guys kind of settled down and the game kind of settled down, then we took it over, and I was a little bit happier after that, but it's kind of a learning thing that you just can't come into the game. I mean, it's all kind of mental toughness now going into these last section games here.
There's a lot of mental play that goes into it. Guys are going into the game, and you have to take into consideration as a coach so many different personalities that you have going on out there. You got guys that are looking at this as an elimination game. Like, this could be my last game ever. You got guys that are looking at it going, I got 2 more years. Who cares? Whatever. And, you have to try and play both sides of that and try and motivate both different areas of these guys. And again, you mentioned it, you're dealing with high school kids. There's such a mental piece to that, especially an elimination game. But you guys, you go ahead, you get the win, you move on, and plans were to play the game tonight, and weather hit. You're supposed to face off against Denfeld, who you guys have had success against during this season. But weather is starting to hit things, and they postpone it to Monday. Talk about what you expect from Denfeld, and kind of looking into that game a little bit before we talk about anything beyond it.
Yeah. We have 3 periods to win, to get through to the next, our next task, but they're a good hockey team. We obviously know they're a star player, in that one line we gotta contain, and Larson's a great hockey player, and we know that. I got to coach him in the All-Star game last year, and he's a great kid, great hockey player. Wish I had him on my team, but we know he's good, and we know Postal's good. So we played him a few weeks back, but that doesn't mean anything now. It's playoffs, and the puck bounces. You just don't know when it's going to bounce your way or the other way. But they had their scoring chances where it easily could have been a different scenario. But that game, the puck bounced for us. But we know that it's not a for sure deal. So we got to come out and play. Our guys are excited. I don't think they're nervous for this one just because we played them twice. I'm sure they'll be nervous, but I think everyone's nervous at this time of year. But yeah, I've watched them, and Jago's a good coach, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, we're 100% ready to go. All 4 lines or 6D. It's definitely a team. It's all team now, and we're pulling together with the weather the way it is. You got to adjust practices and all kinds of stuff, and it'll be a quick turnaround if it goes in our favor on Monday night. So. I just want to be healthy and confident coming into the next game, really.
Yeah, and preparing for all aspects of the game. I know with us, we're preparing with every different situation that we possibly can going into our game on Saturday with Rapids over. But you guys are doing similar things, and looking at that scenario, Bob and I actually had that last Denfeld Rock Ridge game on the call up in the booth there at the MEC, and got a chance to see that. And the one thing that I did notice, and this isn't any knock on Denfeld, it has a lot to do with just where they're at as far as their numbers, but you guys are a heck of a lot deeper of a hockey team than they are. You've mentioned you play 4 lines and 6 defensemen. You got a couple of goalies that are pretty good. I mean, you got depth. The one thing that they got on their team is the high end player. That you've got a lot of really good players. They got one great one, and he's an X factor that at any point during the game, when he decided he was going to pick the game up a little bit, he took control of the game when he did. And but you know what? Your depth, your defensive play, your goaltending did a really good job of containing him. And I think that's where you won over in that game, was through your depth and your attention to detail and ability to defend, where they struggled with their depth. They had to play him in that third period way more than a high school kid should have to play in a game. He played a lot more, and expect it. I mean, I'm sure you expect that Andy Larson is going to play every other shift against you.
Oh, and he's a great hockey player, and he's got a motor that keeps going. I mean, it's amazing how he can continue to play at that speed, and he's a game changer, and we know that. And yeah, he is an elite guy, and so that is an X factor. He can turn it on and make something happen very easily.
Well, you guys did deserve the number 2 seed. There was no argument about that in anybody's conversations, but we did get into some conversations last week with our show, a team with Ms McGill, talking about Hibbing being upset with the seed that they ended up getting, and Denfeld being very pleased with the seed that they ended up getting. Kind of a coin flip when you look at certain things. I don't think the Hibbing people would agree that it's a coin flip. I think they thought that they had the number 3 seed locked and loaded, whereas those of us that look at a lot of different things, it could have went a little bit either way. I did kind of play both sides of that. I wanted Hibbing people to know that when you go in and you vote in a seeding meeting, you're voting on how the season went. And according to the way you guys voted, that's how you felt you guys voted. That's how some of the other teams voted. It didn't come down to just one team's vote. There was a few that had to vote that way, but the Hibbing people were upset. What are your thoughts on Hibbing getting the 4 seed and Denfeld getting the 3?
Yeah, I could see where everybody's like, what the heck, another factor that happened was Moose Lake wasn't able to vote. They didn't make it to the meeting. So that was a vote that really swung a lot of things. And,
yeah,
when it gets down to all those numbers and QRF thrown in there, and at that time of the meeting and everything like that, the QRF had Denfeld 3,
yeah,
and Hibbing 4. And, looking at, from our standpoint, they're both good hockey teams. They tied, and then Hibbing lost to Northern Lakes. In the head-to-head stuff and the QRF, it was just kind of easier for us to say, you know what, that's the way it's going to go right now with the QRF. And Hibbing's a good hockey team, and hopefully we get them in the finals. Hopefully they get past Hermantown, and we get past. It would be a great Iron Range rivalry. They have a good hockey team too, and so yeah, you look at the way, we voted a certain way, but then there was 9 other teams that voted. So and then with Moose Lake not getting that vote in, that might have kind of hurt I Falls, maybe Greenway series. It could have, Denfeld, Rock Ridge, Hibbing could have all been a 2, really, when you think about it. But yeah, we're happy.
This isn't the first time that this has ever happened. It's just in conversations of me sitting in your seat for 7 years and in the seat for Virginia. And of course, there was another guy sitting in the seat for Evelyn, but there are many times where we're sitting there going, there's no way we get a seed any lower than this. And next thing you know, people are voting different ways. So there's been times where Hibbing has gotten a higher vote than they should have got. There's been times where Virginia has gotten, or Evelyn has gotten, a vote lower than they should have gotten. And it seems like certain teams target because they want to play this team or that team. So this isn't the first time that's ever happened. It's just news now for the people that are around, but history says that this has happened way more than just one time, or one team gets a vote that they really hated. So
yeah, for sure. Especially, I've been at this for 6-7 years too, and there's been some meetings where certain teams will get, oh, you didn't play us, so I don't know what you're at. We're going to vote you this.
Yeah.
And that's a weird element too, because, there's,
That's where you have to do your homework, right? I mean, we didn't play you. Well, you know what? Then you're going to have to start opening up the computer and taking a look at who's playing who and what your scores are against them and start doing some research. It's just like when you're nominating players at the end of the year, right?
exactly,
You don't get to just say, well, I didn't see that player. You need to do some research, pick up the phone and start calling people. You don't say, well, we didn't get to play you. No, you didn't get to play us. And there's a reason why that happened. For whatever reason it is, you played a different schedule that maybe you thought was going to be more beneficial to you. They played a schedule that was more benefit. They're too far away. Whatever the reason is, you don't get to play everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And going into those meetings, there's a lot of elements there too, and it's it kind of comes down to those weird things, especially this year, with Moose Lake not being there, that could have swung a lot of things, and
Could have changed about 2 or 3 votes.
it could have changed a lot of things. So it's not really targeting really any team, but
Yeah.
it could look that way when team doesn't even show up to vote. So I don't know if there's a communication thing. So that's a big deal.
Yeah, for sure it is. Well,
and
that's how many votes that they give to certain people. That could be, when they go through and vote number 1 seed and they take the lowest score and that's number 1. Well, that's not giving a higher number to certain people that would have bumped them down the list a little bit more. That could have made a really big deal, big time.
Yeah.
So, well, no question about it, Benny. We wanted to keep it a little bit short here with you here today, but want to wish you guys the best of luck. And there for Puka and I, there would be no better matchup than to see you guys advance and see Hibbing advance and see Rockridge Hibbing final at the Amsoil Arena on Wednesday next week. That would be just phenomenal for us to see because we're area people that like good teams, but we'll peace out on this one here. Congratulations on both you and Denfeld on making a really good decision on moving up to a AA status. I think both of you guys are going to be happy that you did that. Wish more teams would have made that decision, but we like the idea, and Puka and I are happy that you guys are making the tick up.
Yeah, we're excited to make that jump, and we got the community behind us. We got the players. There's that time when do you start that process to be better? And was it last year? Was it this year? Is it 5 years from now? But I think the bottom line for us is we want to play the best possible teams we can and produce the best hockey players we can up here on the Iron Range. And we're happy with the decision. Are we at a AA program at the moment? Probably not, but that's going to force these kids to think differently, train differently, all that stuff to be better. And so we're excited to take that jump. And I think our players are too. The energy in the locker room when we talked about it, they're like, no, we want to play. And so can we win the AA state championship next year? Not sure, but can we compete? And yeah, we can. So it's not like, I don't think we're going to have a horrible season, but yeah, we're going to have a tough season and they can compete. But our guys like that, some of these games, not that we're that good, but some of these programs are in a lull, and we don't get much of a JV game or much of a varsity game. And sometimes, when my dog JoJo is going nuts.
JoJo.
But yeah, oh yeah, she's a bulldog. She needs to go outside. And yeah, in the end, we're excited to go, and it is what it is, and we look forward to making the jump. That's for sure.
Sounds good, Benny. Well, it sounds like JoJo needs to go out to the potty, so we'll sign out here, but we'll say good luck and can't wait to see you guys on Monday night. Take care.
I appreciate it. Thank you.